Hi guys, welcome back to part 4.5 of our tutorial video series on how to make a quick game. Alright, so a couple of things. I have changed the HUD slightly. I fixed the timer a little bit. So what we're going to do is, sorry, let's put it up on the other screen. What we're going to do is we're going to grab this. As you can see, our health is still here, our time is still here. The only thing I changed is I changed the binding for this timer. So let's open it up, just click on the text, click on get timer, just click on the graph, then double click that, and you can just delete everything or restart. So what we're gonna do is we're firstly going to get the player character. Let's quickly just restart this. So I'm gonna disconnect. I'm gonna put this down. We're gonna go through it together. So firstly, we're gonna get the player character. Get player character. Then what you actually want to do is you want to cast it. So you want to cast to your whatever you named your character blueprint, that's what you're going to cast to. So for example, my character blueprint is named roller character BP, so I'm going to cast it to that. Once we have casted, we're then going to create a local variable called player. Now, what a local variable is, it's a variable that cannot be accessed from anywhere else except for within this blueprint, within this specific function or blueprint. So we're going to create the variable. You're going to create a local variable. We'll just name this something new. So we'll just say player new. Alright, there we go, details panel. Alright, then in the details panel, you're just going to go here and you're going to type your character's blueprint name. So roller character, you're going to find it. Roller character BP, get the reference. You're going to save. You're going to drag this out. You're going to set it. And then you're going to drag as roller character BP. Now what this does is it's for code cleanup. So now we don't have to drag this out 1 trillion times later on. We can just use the player variable. So next we're going to grab this player new, drag it out, and you're just going to say get level time. If you remember, we set it to get level time in the actual character. I'll go through that as well quickly. Just now I did a few changes. Then because you don't want time to be like 3 seconds, comma something something something, you're gonna drag the level time out and you're gonna floor it. What this does is it turns it into an integer that is rounded down. Alright. Then we're gonna create 3 new variables. Alright, so the first one will be minutes. I'm gonna rename this to minutes text. Then we're going to have a seconds text. And then we're going to have a minutes actual an actual number. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on minutes. We're going to change this to text. We're going to click on seconds. We're going to change it to text. And then we're going to change on minutes, on the actual minutes. And we're going to set this as an integer. We're going to compile and save. Yes, it will give us an error. That's fine. That's because this is not connected to the return function. So the next thing we're going to do is we're then going to grab our seconds text and we're going to set it using this floored value of our level time. So what happens here is we're changing an integer into text. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to type make text. We're going to select make literal text and then you're going to set the value to 60. The reason we do this is for when we're going to do a check here to see do our seconds equal to 60. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab out your seconds text, and you're going to type equal, the symbols, equal. Just click that and drag these two together. So now it will check, does this text equal to 60? Then you're going to hold B on your keyboard to create a branch, and you're going to connect that condition. Now, on true, because false is straight out. So on true, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our minutes, hold control, drag it out, Then we're going to increment this. So you're just going to type here and just say plus plus on your keyboard. You're going to type in increment text, and then we're going to increase it, and then we're going to set the minutes to that increment. So set minutes to increments. This is just like a make sure kind of thing. It doesn't actually have to be done because the increment works in such a way that it really does this immediately. But I just do it so that we are making sure that everything is there. Then we're going to grab this player that we created, hold Control, drag it out, and you're going to say set level time to 0. Okay, so far what's happening is every tick we check, so we connect to the player, we get his player time. Alright, then we check, does that time equal to 60? Yes, no. If yes, alright, we will then add 1 minute to our clock and we'll set that level time back down to 0. So in essence, we're not using the level time specifically to get our level finish time, but we're actually going to be using the text from our HUD for when we do the actual finish. So after we set the level time to 0, we then have to grab this minutes text, alright, and then we're going to set our text minutes. So you're going to Alt and drag it out. I'm going to set our minutes text into the actual minutes of, oh, sorry, this has to change. So we'll just drag it from here, grab that there, and drag this down. There we go. So that's our minutes in text. Then the next thing we have to do is, because the seconds are still going to be counting up, right, we're going to set our seconds text to 0. Alright. So in essence, this is already going to work. Okay, then we're going to create another branch quickly. So this is the actual timing mechanic. This is the actual timing mechanic. But now, if we want to format our text to be a little bit prettier, this is what we're going to have to do. So firstly, let's create a rewrite node. Drag this false into it, just to clean up the code a little. There we go. Double click again. There we go. Alright, so now this is nice and cleaned up. Let's just try to condense it just a little. There we go. Alright, so now what we want to do is we actually want to see, we want to format our text, because right now it's going to look as 0 and then 0 again. So it's going to be very strange what's going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our seconds text. We're going to drag it out. Then we're going to change it to a string. So just type in to string text. Alright, so this now creates a string. The reason we are doing this is because length, you cannot check the length of a text. So what you do is you just then type len. After you drag it out, it will then create the length. It will give you an integer. Now what you want to do is you want to drag this out and say bigger than. So what we're saying is our seconds text, which equals to the amount of seconds on the clock currently, is it bigger than 2 digits? So until 10. Yes or no? I mean, is it bigger than 1 digit? Sorry. Or does it equal to 2 digits? That's what we're really trying to say. So if it doesn't, alright, so if it doesn't, what we're going to do is we're going to set the seconds text, set it to our current seconds text, right, to string, there we go. There, again, just to edit it, then we're going to right click and just say append, and we're going to go down to string, so append string, say drag that into B, put a 0 here, and then we're going to return it back into text and put it into our seconds text. So what this does is it checks, is our seconds longer than 1 digit. If it's not, then we're going to add a 0 in front of our actual seconds time. If it is, however, then we're going to create another branch, drag this out. So this branch is for seconds. Let's quickly comment it. Add comment, note comment, seconds. And then this one would be minutes. All right. So next, we're going to create a little rewrite node here just to keep the code nice and clean looking. All right. Then this branch is next. So now, what we're going to do is exactly the same thing, but with minutes instead. So all we're going to do is just drag, select all of this, go over to the next part and hold Control, press W, and it will pop up again. So now we're just going to move it down slightly over here, drag this condition out a little, put this up here, drag this out a little bit more, keep it nice and organized, set it. If false, then we're going to grab this, move it up. Now, you might be asking why we're using seconds again, but because with Unreal Engine, it's actually very simple. What you do is you're going to grab your minutes text and you're just going to drag it onto the actual node. It will say change node to read minutes. Here, the same thing, change node to read minutes. Now we've done the minutes. We can then go to the actual return node. Now, how do we do this return node? Well, we have all the values, but the return node will still be nothing, correct? Yes, that is exactly that. So our return node will still read nothing. So now what we're going to do is we want to format it. So now we have minutes, and it's 0, 0, colon 0, 0 is how you want to see it. So you're going to grab your minutes, hold Control, drag it out. Then we're going to right-click on the screen, type append string, take this minutes, drag it into the A. It will convert it. Great. That's exactly what we need. Then we're going to put here a semicolon, I believe they called. Then we're going to do the very same thing. Now, instead of putting it into B, we're going to grab this, put it into A. And then we're going to grab our seconds text, convert it, throw it in there. All right. And then we're going to drag it into the actual return node. So what's happening here is we're grabbing minutes, we're taking minutes, we're adding a semicolon to it, then we're taking that minutes and a semicolon and we're adding our seconds to it. Now if we compile, it should compile properly. Save, I'm going to press play. And as you can see, minutes is no longer there. Why? Well, because the problem we're facing is the fact that we did not set our default values. So you're going to click on minutes as the text, and inside minutes, you're going to say 0, 0. Click on seconds, set it to 0, 0, and then you're going to say compile. And then you're going to press play, and it will show up the proper clock. Alright, so that's the first thing that we changed in our HUD. The next thing we're going to change is with our hearts. So in the designer, we actually have images for our hearts. We don't want that. So we're going to delete that. Save, delete, compile. Alright, then what we're going to do is under our HUD, we're going to right click and then we're going to create a blueprint class. Open up all classes, type in widget, user widget, and you're going to say select. Here we're going to say Health Widget. I'm going to save that, double click it to open. Then we're going to click on fill screen. I'm going to say custom, height and width. We're going to change to 64 and 64 because that was the size of our heart. Alright, and then we're just going to grab an image and throw it into this canvas panel. Now this image needs to change sizes to 64, 64. Anchor it in the center. Alright, and then we're going to change this brush back to a heart. Just say, here we go, health, compile, save. Now within here, we're going to scroll down to user created, expand it, and we're going to see here health widget. So instead of actually having pictures, we're going to drag health widgets into here. So now that we've dragged 3, that is actually that we need to drag in 5 because that is our maximum health. Alright, so 5 health widgets, that's our maximum. I'm going to compile, and then here's what we're going to do. So on player main HUD, right, sorry, I just opened up the other one. I did this in another project while I was just testing the AI out, so I'm just going to grab all the code from there. So we're going to go into the graph. Under event construct, we're going to add some more items. So before we grab this player health, alright, before we grab this player health, we're going to drag this down a little. Before we grab it, disconnect, and we're going to drag out and say get all widgets of class. So what we're doing here is we're actually searching for all of our health widgets. Top level only you can untick, and then we're going to connect it into the for loop. Now, the problem with our player health is that it might be 3, but what's going to happen is how arrays work is they actually work in 0, 1, 2. That's an array of 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this player health and we're going to minus a 1 from it. I'm going to connect that into our last index, and then we're going to continue. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this index and say minus here, because what we're doing is actually reversing the order, because Unreal Engine seems to pick up the actual widgets in a reverse order. It's really strange. So we're going to do this. Your maximum health is 5. Minus 1, that's already 4, because that's the length of your array. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just take 4 and we're going to minus it from, well, we're going to minus our index value from 4. So this is just going to put them in reverse. So next we're going to drag out this found widgets and we're going to type in get. What this does is it actually gets an array item from within the index. So here we go. I'm going to connect this into the get. Alright, next we're going to, because now this is an actual widget item, we're going to drag it out. We're going to say set visibility. So now we're going to this is going to say for every time that the index is not yet at our player health, we're going to take the visible and we're going to set it visible. All right, and then that should create our health when we press play. Now, one thing I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to make it so the engine actually saves every time I compile. So you're going to click on this arrow, save and compile, and just say always. So every time you compile, it will now save. That's just a personal preference. As you can see now, there's 5. Oh, right, sorry. Forgot one more thing. We're going to go into our designer. We're going to select all these widgets. Oops. All these widgets. And we're going to scroll down and we're going to say, where is it? Visibility. We're going to say hidden. We're going to compile and save, and then we can press play. And there we go. We have 3 hearts. Cool. That's great. Alright, then I changed one more thing. What did I change? Oh yes, in the player. So I'm going to go down to blueprints. I'm going to go to roller character. So what we changed in the player is we created another variable called level finish time. You can still use level time. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is what I changed. So on event tick, we're going to create a branch. It's going to say, can the level start? Yes or no. So we're first going to go with yes. No, with no. Sorry, we're first going to go with no. We're going to grab our level start countdown we're going to check, is it bigger than 0? If it is not bigger than 0, which means it is at 0 or at -1, we're going to then say level can start. I'll set the level start to yes, to true. Then, hold on, sorry, I have a baby crying. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I had a child situation. Alright, so what's going to happen is we're going to say if our level countdown is less than 0, we're going to say our level can start, which will then loop us back again. So what's going to happen is it's going to loop back, and then we're going to say start the level can go. Then if it can't yet, so it goes, instead of, it goes false and then true because our countdown is not at 0 yet. We're going to then, after 1 second, we're going to subtract 1 from our level countdown, and we're going to set it again to that countdown. So here it's going to go, after 1 second, it's going to go down 1. So if we start at 3, it's going to go down to 2, to 1, to 0, and then it will be able to enable our true level can start, because it'll go, how the actual countdown will go, it's every 3 event ticks, well, 3 seconds, the event tick will go like this. It will go to here, it cannot start, our level is big, our countdown is still bigger than 0, so it will delay by 1, and then it will -1. Then it will go again, cannot, still cannot, go back. Again, cannot, still cannot, go back. Then it will go here, it will still be false because level cannot start, but now our countdown is at 0. So it's already smaller than, well, it's not greater than 0. So it'll go at 0, and it'll go, this level can start, go back, level can start, true. Then we're going to create a sequence, right click, sequence, connect it to, add another, well, the pin will be already added. On the first pin, we'll do once, we'll enable the player controller input. What this does is, it actually lets the player move only when the level starts. Alright, and then we'll create another variable called timer active, which will then also be set to yes, it is active. Now, on the begin play, we're going to quickly change, we're going to say disable the input, and we're going to attach our player controller and set the level finish time to 0. Now sorry, this was the old one that we did. Alright, then when it's completed this, it will go into pin 1, which will then go into a branch. It will say, is the timer active? Yes, it is. Then we're going to set our level time to our delta seconds plus the level time, push it out into the actual level time. I'm going to save, compile. Now, why the level time? Well, in our, 1 second, trying to make sure that everything is right here. What am I looking at? Oh, yes. Okay, I know exactly what it is. All right, so in here, level time. Okay, cool. So the level time, that becomes set, and then we're done. So that's our main changes. We will do part 5. Well, this is 4.5 because this is a few bug fixes. Then also I just did a couple of changes to the actual level. I can show you what the actual level looks like now. This is what we're going to have after part 5. It's going to be a little bit more cleaned up. There's one more thing that's supposed to be moved there, but it will be cleaned up. And this is what the game will actually play like. So we're going to start out with our hearts. The cubes don't see me for some reason. It's very strange. Alright, anyways, that's okay. We'll sort it out. So what we're going to do in part 5 is we're actually going to get them to explode like that. There we go. They actually started seeing me. Alright, and there we go. This is just still a mock. So we're going to do this in part 5. I'm going to teach you how to make the simple AI, how to make this effect, and how to actually deal damage to our player. So you see the health hearts are now going backwards, but when I started in the actual game, If you do a standalone, they'll go in the normal direction. Alright guys, that is it for now, and I'll check you guys next time.